Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to Algebra 1, Chapter 9, Section 5 in this book. We've been talking about the quadratic equation, and remember, a quadratic equation has x squared in it. It can also have an x and a bare number, but it's got to have the x squared. And when you graph it, its shape is a parabola. Where that parabola crosses the x-axis are the solutions. It's the answers. So we've learned how to do, we've been learning ways to get the answers. One was to graph it and look, but that could be off. Then we've talked about graph it using your calculator. That's even better. And there's another way called the quadratic formula. How it works is if you write it in order with x squareds first, then x's, then bare numbers equals 0 or y or f of x. Weirdly, they're all the same thing. Then you can, the a coefficient, you can use the a coefficient, the b coefficient, and the c bare number, put it into this equation, and you can get the solutions. You can get the answer for where that parabola crosses the x-axis. So this is the equation. It's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. I have to be honest. When I was your age learning this, I hated this. I'm dyslexic and dysgraphic, and I would always mess up putting it in the equation and get the wrong answer. And my son, I was talking to him and I said, oh, I just hate the quadratic equation. He said, I love it because you can always get the answer. Some of the other ways we're going to do it, they're iffy. But the quadratic equation, you put it in and boop, out comes the solutions. I'm like, but you're dysgraphic and dyslexic too. How do you do it? He uses his calculator. So the thing is there are programs that will do it for you. I use Quad and Discremi mainly on my calculator. If you don't have them, you can get them from me. Come by. I've got cables. I'll plug it into your calculator and give it to you. Or you can get them. They're out there. They're on the TI-84 website and places like that. And you can actually write programs, which I've done before. It's not all that hard. You can write it yourself if you need to. But these programs make it real easy. So he would use the quadratic equation programs, plug in the answers, the A, B, and C term, and it spits out the answers. So what's the difference in these two programs? Quad will give you the answer as a decimal. Discremi will give it to you with radicals as square roots. And a lot of times you're not allowed to use the answer as decimals. So Discremi gives you a better answer, but you have to enter it twice. And I'll explain that to you as we go through this. Okay, so this is the quadratic equation. Remember, the coefficient of x squared is the a term. So here's our equation. This a term is a 1. It's an understood 1. The b term is a 9. The c term is a 14. I'll put those in the quadratic equation. So I say negative sign and then b, which is 9, plus or minus the square root of 9 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, I left off my parentheses, which is 14, divided by 2 times a. So now I did 2 times 1 is 2, 9 squared is 81, negative 4 times 1 times 14 is negative 56. I subtracted and got negative 9 is plus or minus the square root of 25 over 2. Now the square root of 25 is 5. So this is the answer. It is negative 9 plus or minus 5 over the square root of 2. And you're supposed to do it twice. You do it once if it's plus and once if it's minus. So negative 9 minus 5 is negative 14 divided by 2 is negative 7. That's one place it crosses. The other one is negative 9 plus 5 divided by 2, which is negative 4 over 2, which is negative 2. So the two solutions are negative 7 and negative 2. If I went to A quad, it would say A question mark, and I'd say 1. B question mark, I'd say 9. C question mark, I'd say 14. Enter, and it would tell me the vertex, very useful for graphing, and it would tell me the solutions are negative 7, negative 2. So I would have the vertex, and I would have the two solutions and it would be very easy to sketch a graph from that information. Discrimi is more useful when it's something like this. Here's another one. The A term is 2, B is -3, the C term is 8. So doing it 1987 style, negative B plus or minus B squared minus 4AC over 2 times A. You put it in, and -3 squared is 9, all of that 64. 9 plus 64 is 73. You end up with 3 plus or minus the square root of 73 over 4. 73, the square root of 73 is an irrational number. So there is nothing, that's it. So you put it in your calculator, 3 plus the square root of 73 over 4, and 3 minus square root of 73 over 4, and you can estimate the solutions. But really, this is considered the answer. That's the proper answer of it, not the estimate that putting these two things in your calculator would give you. So make sure you get a good program, a good quadratic equation program, because it's going to be really important that you have one. There's a separate video where I show you how to use it. Make sure you do that, because really, this plugging it in old school, you might have to do that on a college test, you might not. We pretty much use the programs now on our calculator. The calculator really is the accepted way to do these problems. And then, yay, it's lots of fun. So fun to put in these answers and chug it out and then do the graph and make sure it matches. So easy, so fun. Just so different from the 80s when I did this. There's a word problem in your book where they show you how they use the height formula that I talked to you about last time. They do it with the quadratic equation. Take a look at it, but just make sure it makes sense to you, all right? All right, math is great. See you next time.